Hey y'all, Scott here. I want to play Super Mario 64 on the go, but there's gotta be an easier way. Super Mario 64 is the game, okay? It revolutionized gaming with its expansive 3D worlds, its 360 degrees of pure unrestricted movement. The fact this was all at the launch of a console, and it was and still is good. Mario 64 could be considered gaming's magnum opus, an accomplishment unlike anything seen before. Hell, I'm not sure if we'll ever see anything like this ever again. Guess what? Super Mario 64 DS. Yeah, it's Super Mario for the Nintendo 64 for the Nintendo DS. Okay, sure. Here's beans for your mouth for your floor. But what? This is the game that changed games forever. This huge technical and graphical leap. Now on a cartridge this small and playable portably via Nintendo's latest handheld at its launch. Wow, tell me more! Okay. I love this game. Both versions, to be honest. Mario 64 in and of itself was magical, but Mario 64 DS was magical in its own special way. This was jaw-dropping because it was unlike anything we've ever seen before. And this was jaw-dropping because it was that same game, but playable anywhere on a Nintendo handheld when all we expected from Nintendo handhelds at the time was not this. Unfortunately, once that context is removed from Mario 64 DS, it becomes much more difficult to ignore many of the issues present. Yes, Super Mario 64 DS isn't perfect. But hey, nobody is. Look at me, for example. Super Mario 64 DS isn't perfect. I say wrong shit all the time. But what's really up with this game? Well, it all started back in 2004. It all started back in 1996, and 8 years between brand new release and remake. Concept of time is weird. I mean, back then, Mario 64 felt a hell of a lot older than 8 years old, whereas now, time flies so fast. Yesterday was 8 years ago? Well, what exactly was Super Mario 64 to me in the year 2004? So my cousins would bring their Nintendo 64s over to the grandparents' house, and I recall watching them play it there while just being in awe. This game captures your imagination from the second you see it. Like, wow, this is like a whole ass planet we can explore here. That feels like you can do anything, go anywhere in this game. I felt like every little element here was meant to really play into that sense of wonder you have as a child. I mean, from the moment you boot it up. Hello. What can I do to that nose? I can mess around with Mario's face on the title screen for hours here. The castle grounds, oh my god, I've never felt so free in a video game than I did here. Nowadays, it's obviously a fairly small environment, but back then, this opening area felt like it could have been the whole ass game. Moving around with full 360-degree movement, jumping about with pure precision, letting your imagination go wild like you're actually playing outside as a kid. But now, no need to leave the house. Yep, Mario 64 is pretty great. Especially when you actually play it. Yeah, enter the castle, jump into a painting, and we have one of over a dozen worlds to explore and complete missions in to get power stars. 120 in total to be exact. Definitely more than enough to keep you invested for a very long time. And that's just the core experience. Mario 64 can be enjoyed in so many different ways. I mean, it's one of the most popular games to speedrun. There's so many secrets and urban legends that kept players on their toes for decades. Many quirks have inspired players to come up with self-imposed challenges to conquer, like the Green Demon Challenge, the collecting all the red coins before the one-up mushroom catches up to you, and that's all on top of the game being just flat-out fun to control. Like, this was one of the best sandbox experiences, which was how I primarily enjoyed the game back then. Because this way you can't tell me I'm playing it wrong. At this point, probably around 2002, 2003, I hadn't really seen a game like this, especially Mario games. I mean, I was used to Super Mario World on my Game Boy Advance. You show me this and I go, thank God, this steak was looking awfully lonely without a witch to burn at. This was unbelievable. This was what all video games should be like. And from that moment forward, while I still enjoyed my GBA and the games I had for it, I did always yearn for an experience like this on the go. And I'd get my hopes up thinking that was possible. You'd see a magazine ad for a console game that says, hey, this game is also on Game Boy Advance. And like, can you really blame a 6-year-old for thinking that meant this exact game as it's shown here was going to run on his Game Boy? Apparently you can. Over time, I accepted the fact that home console games looked like this and handheld games looked like this, which was fine by me. The simpler graphics were easier to see with my tears on the screen. But in 2004, Nintendo was determined to prove me wrong, as at their E3 press conference that year, they fully unveiled their new handheld, the Nintendo DS, and alongside it, games showcasing its graphical potential. This was the kind of stuff you only saw on the consoles, but now, here's Metroid Prime, a first-person shooter in full 3D, running on a portable system. Here's Super Mario 64? My reaction must have been through the roof. I didn't watch E3 that year. In fact, I didn't know this game existed for a good long while. I wasn't paying attention to gaming media at the time, but if I was, oh boy. Super Mario 64 by 4? Or times 4, I don't know. That's what it was called upon reveal, but I haven't found Nintendo officially saying the title out loud, so I don't know how to say it. To be fair, who knows, maybe the same can be said about the original. Maybe this is actually pronounced Lenny. But this working title really highlights the focus on multiplayer here. I got this old Nintendo press kit from E3 2004, and their description of Mario 64 by 4 exclusively discusses it as basically a multiplayer battle game, and nowhere does it detail anything other than duking it out in familiar locations. This was what Nintendo wanted to push. A feature most people forgot was in the final game. A lot changed from reveal to release. Within the span of 6 months, we got a name change to Super Mario 64 DS, confirmation it would be a launch title for the handheld in November of that year, plus details of a full single-player campaign heavily based on the original game. But now with some new twists. Finally, some changes! It's in my left hand now! Super Mario 64 DS ended up launching on November 21st, 2004 in the US, ensuring the DS had the Herbs and 6 other games. Bundled with the original run of DS handhelds was a demo for that Metroid Prime game showcased at E3, and with these two being the only games Nintendo themselves published for the thing at launch, really paints a picture as to how the DS was positioned back in its early days. It was that damn PSP, man. It was coming out just a month later in Japan and was practically a PlayStation 2 for your pocket. This was like a dream come true at the time. Home console games on the go! Yeah! In comparison, the Nintendo DS could do 3D, but that wasn't its strong suit. I mean, just look at the buttons we have here. If 3D was really a core part of the DS experience, why wouldn't we have an analog stick? Wait. Well, I learned of this game's existence well after these formative years of the DS, back when it was pushed as a handheld powerhouse rather than a cookbook. As a kid, I wasn't even aware the DS was a thing back in 2004. It wasn't until 2006 with the Nintendo DS Lite that I became fully trained on the concept of dead skunk. From this point forward, the handheld was far more focused on casual, simpler titles, or at least the marketing was, and while I knew it was capable of 3D visuals, 2008, I was on the school bus and I noticed somebody playing a game that looked just like that game my cousins had. I was dumbfounded. Mario 64? Portably? On my portable? I never knew this existed. Hell, I didn't even know it could exist. Seeing this game in action was like a dream come true. So for the next few days, my mission was simple. Find that game. I looked up all the details I could, rounded up all my allowance money, and after just one weekend trip to Target, I was the proud owner of Super Mario 64 DS, and all these years later, I still am. Rarely did I ever play a game that lived up to all my expectations as a kid, but Mario 64 DS was everything I could have possibly wanted and then some. I could play Super Mario 64 wherever I wanted. The countless car rides, bathroom visits. No joke, I played this at a funeral. So take my word for it. I love Super Mario 64 DS. Well, it's no wonder I never knew this game existed, considering the box art looks like it could be for any Mario game. Add a soccer ball, a basketball hoop, a damn Chili's. Like, what about this screams Mario 64? Yeah, okay, me. On store shelves, especially as a kid, this just looked like a game called Super Mario DS. The 64 was so small, it looked like a damn asterisk. Speaking of which, what's up with this Microsoft Word art looking ass DS logo here? And why is it so big? What if it was like 2% smaller? Would it be the end of the world? Oh, just got stabbed, that's all. Much like the original title for the game, the box art leans heavily into the multiplayer aspect of the package, which, once again, it's strange considering how little the multiplayer ever even mattered. To be fair though, this was one of the biggest omissions from the original game, alongside Luigi not being there either, with both being planned inclusions in the scrapped follow-up, Mario 64 2. So this box art does show off a lot of big things here. Like a zoom blur. Jesus Christ, how fast are they going? The mid-2000s badass Mario stank doesn't help things. I remember the Mario art from this era. Here, look, this pose right here. Oh, so fucking cool. They lower the bill of his cap, hide his mouth more, and it made a world of difference. Wahoo, bitch. Wait. Why? Why is the manual like this? What is it, to mimic the dual screens of the DS? They were trying so hard to connect all of the unique features of the DS experience with Mario 64, even if it didn't make any damn sense, like tap into a new world. 1, we don't tap much in this game, and 2, new world? The entire appeal of this game is that it isn't new. To be fair though, we have so much new content to play with here, in addition to the full Mario 64 rigmarole. If we looked at all the stuff added to this version on its own, we'd be talking more content than most DS games released in this time period had. Snoot 2. What are we waiting for? To find the fatal flaw with this game? Let's play Super Mario 64 DS. Found it. What the hell is that? As a kid, anything that differed from the original honestly bugged the hell out of me, even if it was for the better or flat out superfluous. Here's Yoshi instead of Mario. Well, we have Mario here as well and can switch between the two, but like, wow. These 3D models look damn on point, even nowadays. Sure, they're a little pixelated, but this honestly feels like something you'd see on the GameCube or Wii. It's so high quality, and you're telling me I can fiddle around with their faces like in the original? This you guy is a liar. Yeah, so we can't play with Mario's 3D face. Rather, he turns into a 2D outline we can mess around with, plus draw our own fixins. As much as I love the original, let's be honest, there's only so much you could do here. After this, what was left? Now, it's not like the DS couldn't do this. There was a tech demo at E3 2004 titled Mario's Face, which was pretty much that old Mario 64 title screen, so I like to think this was more of a creative decision to shake things up. And truthfully, it was for the best. Being able to draw whatever and squash and stretch it and spin it around and wiggle about. As a kid, you knew I thought it was the funniest thing ever to draw all kinds of appendages here. Legs, arms, feet. All right, let's fire up a new save file. Oh my God, the screen has water physics? Wow, you necessary. Lord, this is the full ass opening to Mario 64 in the palm of my hands. It's all here, exactly how I remember. Yeah. To be fair, this is what I remember. Right from the get-go, Mario 64 DS shows its hand, alright? This is a remake, yes, but I'd argue this is something I like to call a f*** you remake. A remake that doesn't give a damn. They'll alter whatever the hell they want to, and for the most part, it's just to make you uncomfortable. Alright, and we all know Mario comes out of the pipe and the camera swings around and we start playing the game and Luigi and Mario don't show up. Contrary to the original game, Wario and Luigi follow Mario to Peach's castle after only Mario was invited for cake. Okay, oh, wow, look at that. I'm invited. However, a fair amount of time passes, all while Yoshi's sleeping on the roof of the castle, which was where he was at the end of the original Mario 64. And he's told by Lakitu it may be wise to check in on the three, and thus, we officially kick off Super Mario 64 DS with Yoshi. Guess who was mad? Okay, I wasn't mad. Rather, as a kid, I was definitely put off by the fact I couldn't play as Mario in Mario 64. Can barely play as Yoshi either. What the hell is this? Turns out, we have a run button in this game. Much like in 2D Mario. Now, why is that? The original game didn't have a run button. You could just tilt the stick more or less depending on how fast you wanted to go. Well, ever see a satanic cross? Yeah, let's talk about one of 64DS's biggest flaws. The lack of one big-ass flaw. Sure, this analog stick wasn't the greatest, but it was an analog stick, damn it, and for a game designed entirely around an analog stick, oh, it comes in handy. Super Mario 64 was made for this stick, and this stick was made for Super Mario 64. But who gives a shit? The Nintendo DS doesn't have an analog stick, so what are you gonna do when you want to put Super Mario 64 on it? Stop! Now I'm not gonna act like you could never, ever play a 3D game like this with a standard D-pad. But what I will act like is a damn baby about it. At first you think, oh, this isn't so bad. It's controlling fine enough. I'm able to do what I need to. Sure, it's not as precise as I'd prefer, but turning is so damn sluggish now. It's like they had to overcompensate with more animation between directions since there's only 8 now compared to holy I am constantly getting into situations where I need to reorient myself because if I didn't reorient myself, I fall off a cliff. And then if I do reorient myself, listen, this works. Saying I can't possibly play like this is an exaggeration, but I can't blame people for thinking that way. A Mario 64 DS playthrough starts out alright considering most of the levels are pretty large and open. But then you see something like this, and like, what do you want me to do here? Now, if the D-pad isn't precise enough for you, we have multiple other control options, like using the touchscreen to obtain full 360-degree movement. This is even fucking worse! Just feels wrong, man. That's super unnatural, more so than a typical virtual analog stick you see on touchscreens, because here, you have no restriction on where to touch, so I always end up butting against the edge of the display and needing to reorient myself every single time. There's just no tactility here, which is why Nintendo offered the thumb strap. This was bundled with early DS units, and while it looked like a wrist strap, lo and behold, fuck this thing. This was Nintendo's official solution to the DS's lack of an analog stick. This is my solution to head lice. Seems to be so many people that genuinely believe if you play Mario 64 DS on a 3DS, all problems are solved. Look, you get your analog stick now. Happy? Buddy, if I play a game programmed for a D-pad with an analog stick, that doesn't magically give it analog control. It's definitely more comfortable here, but it doesn't fix the core issue. The way your character moves in 3D space, stupid. Now, when I was a kid, this didn't bother me all too much. Yeah, I knew it was worse. To be honest, using a run button was more jarring to me than anything, but the fact I was playing Mario 64 portably overshadowed any issues at play here. This game. Well, where the controls falter, the visuals are better. Yeah, this is tricky. I think much of the reason 64DS looks better in many areas is due to its use of more modern designs for these characters. That isn't Bowser, that's bubonic. The official Mario 64 artwork seen via the packaging and manual holds up decently well, but then you look at Mario in game. He's a dork. DS, everything looks far more natural, all while keeping the spirit of 64 alive. It's honestly impressive. Mario looks a little dead inside now, but aren't we all? The environments themselves look nearly identical to me. Hell, the trees are even still completely flat. The music, for the most part, is ripped directly from the original. It's so damn faithful, but updated in all the right ways. This is like Mario 64 plus. Minus. Yes, Mario may not have the f*** me eyes anymore.
Yeah, you know.
But when the resolution is this low, does it even matter? Yes, the characters all look better. At least I was told. When played on an actual DS, the low resolution is par for the course on that handheld. You expect it to look like this. Playing this somewhere normal Mario 64 can be played, honestly, I'll take the original. Yeah, it looks outdated, but I think it's more charming than DS in many ways. Mario looks dumb as hell here, but he's oozing pure wonder and joy with his every movement. It's like he's a puppy. He feels the need to give World Peace a shout out when collecting a star. In Mario 64 DS, he just doesn't give a damn. I'm not sure which is overall better. They both have significant pros and cons. I don't dislike either, but acting like this is fine as it is, I don't think that's true. But acting like this fixes it, I mean, that's a damn sin. Okay, so we have significantly worse controls in every way, visuals that are, I don't know. What about the core gameplay? I mean, 30 extra stars, 4 playable characters, the multiplayer mode? I see so many people consider this version of Mario 64 to be the definitive release. And the added content is a big reason for that. But what does Scott think?
Scott thinks I think nobody thinks this should be thunk.
So starting the game off with Yoshi, we can't enter the castle just like that. We have to traverse a brand new addition to Peach's castle grounds to obtain a key. This hedge maze. Wow! The first hour or so here, Yoshi is our only option, which, I mean, listen to this. Yoshi has his Yoshi's Island moveset, but now, in 3D, he can flutter jump, gobble up enemies, spit them out, or turn them into throwable eggs. He can swallow fire and become a damn flamethrower. But who the hell cares? All these moves are great, but most of them never feel like they matter at all. The game wasn't designed with egg-throwing mechanics in mind. It's cool that it's here, but that's the only reason it's here. The flutter jump is a great addition though, especially with the worst controls. Oh, that might be why Yoshi is your starter character, to get you used to bullshit. But see, Yoshi does have a few downsides. For one, he can't punch. His attack, it's assault, but it's not attack. So when we get to the boss here, it's been changed to reflect Yoshi's abilities, which, yeah, I'd say this is better, I guess. I mean, both are pretty unremarkable, but this is more interesting, sure. Though I think the original sort of foreshadowed the Bowser boss fights by having you pick King Bob-omb up, so at the end of the day, this isn't that meaningful of a change. It's a change due to a change due to a change. Other than that, the first bit of this game, it's Mario 64. The structure, the flow, it's all the same. But hey, now we have a full-blown map on the bottom screen. That's a good addition. Even get to see where the Power Star is at, which might be a controversial addition. Some may say, well, this takes the fun out of finding the star based on the title of the mission. To that I respond, that wasn't fun. This doesn't ruin anything. Half the time, the star isn't even visible on the map because you need to do something to make it appear. This just ensures you won't be aimlessly wandering around as much. You get the hint as to what to do with the title, and now you know which direction to head in as well. But you still don't know which plane the star is on, and you still need to be skilled enough to get to it. This is a great quality of life change that only adds to the experience. We also have brand new Power Star missions included. Oh boy! 5 silver stars? What do we do here? Well, collect the 5 silver stars. Wow! Yeah, those 30 bonus stars they boast on the back of the box here, don't expect much. I'd say a third of them are genuinely worthwhile, whether they're added to pre-existing levels or a part of a handful of brand new ones. But for the most part, this is what was added to the game. Collecting 5 silver stars in the level, which makes the Power Star appear, which is functionally nearly identical to the 8 red coins missions that were already a part of Mario 64. Then there are the new Star Switch missions. Step on the button, a Power Star appears elsewhere, get to it before it disappears, and that's pretty much all the new stars in the game. They're new stars to complete, but what are they adding outside of that? Are these missions bad? No, but they don't make a difference whether they're here or not. This isn't really substantial new content. It's just more content for the sake of more content. And of all the flaws with Mario 64, the fact it didn't have 150 stars wasn't one of them. Now, that doesn't make the concept of 30 new stars not exciting, but when over 2/3 of them are Silver Star or Star Switch based, it's hard to give any of my dams up for this. Well, surely I can spare some for the multiple playable characters. No, my dams! Early on in the game, we're met with a predicament. Koopa the Quick won't race a Yoshi, he'll only race a Mario.
You bigot.
We don't have Mario unlocked yet, but thankfully a Mario hat is on the map, so we go collect it, and there we go, problem solved. And kink discovered. Super Mario 64 DS has 4 playable characters, and while you have to unlock them one by one, you can quickly find and grab Mario, Luigi, or Wario's cap in a level to play as them if you find that the star you're looking to nab requires somebody specific. Why do you want to unlock the actual characters then? Well, if you get hit, you lose the cap and you have to go get it again. And more importantly, I'm making Yoshi noises as Wario, man. I don't want to do that. So thankfully, by the time we nab our 8th Power Star, we're able to enter this brand new level to rescue the real Mario, so we can play as him whenever we please. Listen, it's cool as hell to play a new Mario 64 level, and the fact that the boss fight here is the Goomba King from Paper Mario on the N64, like, what? Main series Mario games rarely acknowledge the spin-offs, and if they do, it's oftentimes just in the form of Easter eggs, so this is awesome! The level itself can kick fucking rocks. It's neat that this is a new level, but that's kind of the only thing neat about it. Watch, this is the journey to the boss. It's a 90-degree angle. At that point, why is this level here to begin with? Just jump into the Mario painting and boom, boss fight. Sure, you have 2 stars you can get here, but one is an 8 red coin star and the other is a switch star. It's like the bare minimum they could have thrown in here. Once we get Mario, we can face off against Bowser for the first time, and goddamn, he's looking good. Like, holy shit, that's the guy we made fun of in high school good. Of course, this boss fight was originally designed to show off the analog stick by having us spin Bowser around 360 degrees. Solve for X. I mean, we can swap to the touchscreen on the fly, so it's not like this is lame as hell. It can now be lame as hell in its own special way. So we have Mario for good now. But what about the others? How do we get them? Well, let's ask Child Scott.
He wouldn't know either way.
Yeah, I never unlocked Luigi or Wario, but could you really blame me? They aren't necessary to complete the game. I already got my fill with the cap mechanic. To unlock Wario, you need Luigi, and to unlock Luigi, you need a damn master's degree. My lord! I got to this room with Luigi's painting in it, and I thought, yeah, no shit. No, yeah, shit. What the hell am I supposed to do here? Well, Luigi is actually trapped in Big Boo's haunt. Where is he? How do you get him? I never got Luigi as a kid, and knowing where he was this whole time, my grades make a lot more sense now. To unlock him, we have to beat Big Boo in this room mimicking the design of a Nintendo DS, which is pretty damn cute. I mean, this whole thing is neat. Taking elements from games released after Mario 64 and popping them in. Like Luigi's Mansion here, Paper Mario there. Oh, this brand new stage is based on Super Mario Sunshine. That's incredible!
And for example, this is what I deem incredible.
It's just shallow water surrounding a couple of mounds, and there's only 1 star you get here, and it's just collecting silver stars again. Listen, I understand this is a cheap way to add another mission to pre-existing levels, but as the sole objective in a brand new course, it's just, why? Why not add a switch star? Why not add 8 red coins? Well, it's because Sunshine Isles was designed for the Versus mode and thus has no potential for legitimate Power Star missions. Just like this brand new secret stage you get to through the courtyard. As a new Mario 64 course, it's just a bunch of bullshit. All this nonsense going on, and for what? 1 star obtained by collecting 5 silver stars. And wouldn't you know, bam, multiplayer stage. These levels don't detract from the game, but they most definitely don't add to it either. Yes, it's cool to randomly come across a new stage hidden in the courtyard. Yes, it's cool to see a Mario Sunshine reference, but like, that's all these have going for them. Thankfully, the level where we unlock Wario is far more in-depth. And see, we have to use Luigi to turn invisible, go through the mirror here, and jump into the Wario painting in the reflection. I never graduated. But man, if the boss fights for the other characters made some deep-cut references, God only knows what we'll have to defeat to unlock Wario. Chief Chili. Well, surely this guy has ties to Wario. Maybe a reference to WarioWare, Wario Land? What's he from?
I'm experiencing history in the making.
Doesn't even matter because guess what? I wouldn't want to unlock Wario to begin with. Now that we have all the characters, let's talk the rules here, alright? After nabbing Mario, Yoshi is thrown to the wayside. You might need him for a star or two here and there, but this is still a Mario-centric adventure, just like the original. The game has always been designed around his moveset, his jump, his speed. Everything in Mario 64 revolved around Lenny. So introducing new playable characters, I mean, it's not necessary, but it for sure can be cool.
And for example, this is what I deem cool.
The 4 playable characters, I mean, I can make it sound more annoying than it really is. Mario 64 DS has you play as certain characters to get to certain places to get certain stars. Reasonable enough. Problem is, it feels so damn forced and overcomplicated, all just to shoehorn in some Wario use. In the original game, you see a block like this? It's gonna give Mario a wing cap, a metal cap, or a vanish cap, so you can then use their unique abilities to nab a specific star in that course. In 64 DS though, they separated these power-ups amongst the different characters via these power flowers. So only Wario can use the metal power, Luigi can use the vanish. On N64, I see the power-up block, it'll give me exactly what I need. On DS, if I'm playing as Luigi, it'll always give me Luigi's power, which may not be useful in that specific course, so I have to figure out who I need here, okay? Well, it looks like I'll need the metal cap, so I need Wario. I could exit the level to go to this room in Peach's castle to officially swap to him, or I can just pick up the Wario cap already here and transform into Wario right quick. Easy enough. Well, let's make our way over there. Where is it? Oh, it's on a different level of terrain. Could be above me, could be below me. Who knows? Well, once we figure that out, voila! You know, why can't we just switch characters like in Grand Theft Auto 5 or something? I find that Mario 64 DS really tries its best to validate the new characters. They don't. Just taking stuff Mario could do in the original game by himself and stripping him of it just to give Luigi something to do? I don't think that's egregious or anything. It just doesn't feel like these characters add anything. They had to make excuses to give them purpose. With that being said, they do all control differently, so their addition does give the player more choice. Mario is all around average, Luigi has a better jump, Wario is the strongest, and Yoshi has the most unique abilities. Hell, you can make the argument that you might as well stick to Yoshi throughout the whole game. There is no Yoshi cap you can swap to as the other characters. If you want to play as Yoshi, you have to manually swap to him, and while entering a course, Yoshi is the only character where you can select a cap to start the stage off with. You can also make the argument that everything is going to be okay. I don't know, the fact you lose the cap after getting hit, you also take more damage in this form, and honest to God, the wrong character noises might be the biggest problem. I just stick to regular Mario for the majority of the playthrough. The Wario is damn useless. He can punch these black bricks that were added to the game, and you need to do that for some stars and secrets. You can use the metal cap, but that's it. There's no other reason to play as him. He's slow as dirt, jumps like dirt. Put a gun to my head and tell me to play as Wario? I mean, Jesus Christ, that's a gun. Sure. Luigi's okay. His main claim to fame is this insane backflip. I mean, you can just pull one of these out whenever and skip whatever platforming challenge is in front of you. Yeah, that's a lot more compelling than it just doesn't feel as useful as it feels cheap. But hey, compared to his ability to run on water for a bit, that isn't cheap. It also isn't useful at all. The backflip completely validates Luigi here, which is sad because it breaks the damn game. If it wasn't for the backflip, there'd be like no reason to use it. But because he has the backflip, I hate his ass. He's a bastard. And then Yoshi. I mean, God bless him, but he just has too many downsides. He's not strong enough to break blocks, can't attack normally, can't pick up things normally, and his abilities are more gimmicky than useful for the most part. The power-up he gets from the Power Flower is spitting fire, which can be obtained normally by just swallowing fire you find in the level, and that'll usually be around an area where you'll need to spit fire, but the Power Flower version allows you to spit fire indefinitely for a limited time. So definitely. Mario's Power Flower ability is also unique and brand new to this release. Balloon Mario, ripped right from Super Mario World. Hey, I knew something was missing from the original. Mario 64 is great and all, but what if he was bigger? I'll give Balloon Mario this. It's way more useful than the other power-ups. These kind of just feel like you use them because you have to. Here, I mean, we can use it as a quick way to get to higher terrain in addition to using it because we have to. However, this, alongside everything else brought to the table by the new characters, gives me the same exact feeling. I feel nothing! Are the new characters bad additions to Mario 64 DS? No.
they're just unnecessary. But they felt the need to make them necessary, which just highlights how unnecessary they truly are. Now, I don't want to understate how cool it is these characters are here. I mean, Luigi's finally in Mario 64. Mario's in a main series Mario game. Yoshi's his own character, not just some rideable power-up, and they all have unique abilities, their own playstyle. This is cool as hell. The problem is when it's forced down your throat and they have to come up with all these excuses to make you use each and every one of them in a game entirely designed around just Mario, it's not cool as hell. I think it would have been far better if they pulled a Super Mario Bros. 2 or Super Mario 3D World, where all the characters had different strengths and weaknesses and playstyles. But that was it. It was down to who you wanted to play as, not who the game told you to play as. Well, damn, look at all these new additions. Also known as cons. That begs the question, what else did they add to the game? Well,
some elements in the courses have been altered from the original, like tick-tock clock. We've got a floor here now. Well, that's an improvement. But looking at the rest of the levels, any other changes aren't really upgrades as much as they are, well, just changes. Is this better? I mean, it's different. Most alterations were made just for the sake of the DS exclusive stuff, like how King Bob-omb's boss fight was changed for Yoshi, or all the black bricks added to give Wario purpose. Like, none of this enhances what was already there. The vast majority of new power stars don't add anything of worth. The new levels are few and far between and aren't even great to begin with. They're puny in size and merit. The Super Mushroom has been added to the game.
Oh man, what's next? Are they gonna add Mario to the game?
Yeah, a little strange how this is a big addition to a Mario game, but it wasn't in 64. Because it didn't make sense there. With Mario having a health bar now and power-ups not working as they did in the 2D games, the Super Mushroom sat that one out. But it's back now! Between this and Balloon Mario, I'm in heaven. Technically speaking, this is labeled as a regular old mushroom, but in reality, this is the Mega Mushroom from New Super Mario Bros., though that released 2 years later. It all started here. Alongside my opinion on this power-up. Who fucking cares? As a kid, this was so exciting to use. Like, oh my god, I'm huge! This is great! I can live out my wildest fantasy!
Say what you want, my goals are reasonable.
But as I've grown up, I've realized how much of a cheap gimmick this is. Literally just destroy the level design. Okay. The wall jump's now improved. That's a great change. Alongside the expansion from having to catch a rabbit twice while in Peach's castle to...
Finally, my problems with Mario 64 have been addressed.
All right, so why does this version have 56 years? Well, all you got for catching a rabbit in Mario 64 was a measly power star. In Mario 64 DS, you'll be catching more rabbits as you progress through the game. And what do you get by catching said rabbits? So this is what makes it the definitive version. In the new rec room of the castle, we have access to the mini games, here to showcase the capabilities of the DS's touchscreen. Yeah, every complaint I had before this is a moot point. I mean, just look at this. Holy f***, right? These are some of the most ingenious uses of a touchscreen out there, and this was all in 2004. You know what was happening that year? And they were able to develop these games regardless. You know what? Why not? Loves Me, Mario Slot, Super Mario Slot, Lucky Stars, Boombox, Psych Out, Memory Match, Slot Shot, Mushroom Roulette, Memory Master, Toy Box Shuffle, Puzzle Panel, Puzzle Panic, Snowball Slalom, Giant Snowball Slalom, Bingo Ball, Hide and Boutique, Bounce and Pounce, Coincentration, Intense Coincentration, Like It Do Launch, Bounce and Trounce, Witch Wiggler, Mix a Mug, Paragon, Paragon and On, Connect the Characters, Shell Smash, Mario Slides, Trampoline Time, Trampoline Terror, Shuffle Shell, Picture Poker, Wanted, Bob-omb Squad, Soar and Splode. Not all of these are winners. Many of them are just variations of each other and or purely luck-based, but at the same time, as basic as the Loves Me minigame is, there's such an addictive charm to using the touchscreen to interact with these. Creating trampolines with the stylus was and still feels pretty slick. Luigi's Casino games awakened something in me. And they're just all good, clean, simple fun. I don't know, they just made this game the perfect all-in-one package for a road trip. A full-ass console game on the go, in addition to a handful of high-score-based mini-games. You can swap to one if you get bored of the other. Or the other versus mode. So what, this is like the big new addition? I mean, it's what they nearly named the game after. Surely it can't be as bad as... the Versus mode in Super Mario 64 DS, but it is as bad as the Versus mode in Super Mario 64 DS. It is the Versus mode in Super Mario 64 DS after all. This is abysmal. Only 4 stages, small as hell. One is the damn slide, which only lasts for like 15 seconds, and then the rest of the match is just in this small box at the end of it. And the entire mode itself is broken. It's all about just grabbing the power star on the map. But when you get a power star, you're stuck doing this animation, which gives the other players ample time to run up to you, start attacking, and right when you get out of your animation, you get hit, lose your star. But then another player will grab it. So all you gotta do is run up to them and start attacking when they're doing the animation, and then you'll get the star back until the same thing happens to you over and over and over until time's up. I love this game.
Huh. You think with all that bitching that I'd hate this thing? I mean, it's like everything they added, every change they made, I have a problem with. Well, it's because everything new added to Mario 64 DS, while cool on the surface, the more I analyze them, the more problems arise, the more unnecessary it all feels. I don't think anything added to the core Mario 64 experience really amounts to much at all. However, the effort put into this release is so damn apparent. And not only did they throw in all this brand new content, they got it running on a damn cookbook. Mario 64 DS was one of the most impressive games to me as a kid. It still is in many ways. I mean, this was the perfect all-in-one package. There was so much here. As a kid, none of the problems I brought up today really mattered all that much to me. And even these days, yeah, I'm not lying. A lot of these problems do hamper my enjoyment of the game, but I don't really care. None of them are enough to ruin the game. They just make it hard for me to consider this the definitive release. This doesn't feel like what Mario 64 was always meant to be. Rather, a really cool alternative take on Mario 64. One that's so much cooler when you consider it released on a handheld in 2004. Mario 64 DS is not a perfect remake. I would not recommend playing this over the original. But I want to tell you not to either. This is still Super Mario 64, and while this version is more novelty than necessary, it's just so cool. I just wish I didn't have to use the damn D-pad. But the 4 playable characters are so neat. It's so cool that they're here, but like, god damn, I'm so fucking sick of switching between them just to get all the stars in the game. Oh my god, it's so cool they added 30 extra stars to the game, but like none of them actually matter. They're all pointless. It's just like, what the hell is the point of this? It's an endless cycle.